What's up? So I've been meaning to do this video for a while. Well, like, since last week, whatever. I was wanting to do it for a while because I didn't explain things super well as they were happening because obviously I was like freaking out and stuff. About the fire, you know. So, backstory. Since I'm moving, and we've been having people like come walk through our house and see if they want to buy it or whatever. My mom had put the dish strainer that has some plastic on it. She put it in the oven to hide it. And then last week when I wanted to make brownies, she was actually out of town. Because if I would have asked her if I could make brownies, then she probably would have told me to take the thing out of the oven first, because she was the one that put it in there, so she would remember. I didn't remember. But on Wednesday, my friends and I were hanging out. We actually had a showing, so we had to take... My mom actually had 2 of the dogs with her in Idaho, which was good because they would have been crazy here during the fire and stuff. But, she had the 2 big dogs in Idaho, and we just had the little dog. Anyway, so I went over to my friend's house with the dog. Like, they came here, and then we went to their house for a while. And then when we decided to come back over here to bring the dog back, and we were going to hang out and do more chalk on the driveway, because we've been doing a lot of chalk art, and it's been really fun. But we got here a few minutes after my brother and his girlfriend, and they were kind of like, they seemed like mad at each other. They were talking in the living room, and Daniel, my brother, had his arms folded, and he seemed like upset, and so we went downstairs, and then Sheridan's like, how about we make them brownies? And so, like, a few minutes before 6:30, we went upstairs with the brownie mix, and then Sheridan, like, went outside. She was, like, mad or something. I don't know what it was. I think, oh, yeah, it was because, like, she's, I don't know, just, like, hormones. She was just, like, upset about something. It wasn't, like, with us. She was just, like, feeling down or something. But she went outside, sitting on the porch, and we're trying to get her to come inside, but because we had a Zoom meeting at 6:30 for Young Women's, and so we got on the Zoom, and I turned on the oven, and Brooklyn and I, so we have a junk drawer that has like scissors and tape and random stuff, lighters, and so we got the scissors and cut open the bag for brownie mix, and we poured it into a bowl. And then since the lighters were in that drawer too, we were just like, oh, we're gonna like mess around like in front of the camera, because the Zoom, you know, we just do goofy stuff in front of the camera all the time. So we're like, ooh, look, we have fire. Anyways, we're just being weird, and that's not what started the fire. Don't worry. Well, obviously, you know, there was an oven fire, but anyways, that's what sounds bad, because when I tell the story, then I'm like, oh yeah, we were playing with the lighters, and then they're like, you kidding me? Anyways, but we were playing with the lighters, and then we let them cool off for a few minutes, and then we put them back in the drawer. And then a few minutes later, I smelled smoke, but it did not smell like the lighter smoke. Like, you know, when you play with the lighter, it had like a different smell. Anyways, it was like, what is that smell? And then I was like, it smells like smoke, and then I told Brooklyn. And then she looked over at the oven, and it was smoking, and she opened it to see what was making it smoke. And then I was like, oh shoot, that thing was in there, the dish strainer. So, and there was a little fire in the oven. We were still on the Zoom call, but we were just, anyways. We had my Chromebook and my phone on the counter above the junk drawer. And we were still on the Zoom doing Kahoot for the activity. But my brother was downstairs with his girlfriend at that point, and so I kept calling Daniel, as I would, well, it wasn't like that fast anyways, it was just calling Daniel to see if he was coming up anyways, and, well, I turned off the oven as soon as I saw it was smoking. I turned off the oven, took the dish drainer out with a hot pad and put it into the sink to make sure it wasn't super hot. And I didn't want to sit down anywhere, so I didn't leave plastic. And there's plastic on both of the racks and like part of the wall of the oven. And oh my gosh, I'll be back. Anyway, so my brother and Morgan came upstairs and they put the fire out. Anyways, we got the racks out, took them outside, started breaking off the plastic off them. Oh, and when my brother was stopping the fire, I was opening up all the windows and doors to get the smoke out so it wouldn't like make the whole house stink. And in this room, I opened the windows and closed the door. Like these bedrooms upstairs, I closed the doors but had the windows open so that the smoke that was already in here would go out. But anyways, and then so we were trying to get the plastic off of both of the racks because the oven has like these two rack things. We got them off of the one that was on the bottom because like the dish drainer was on top of the top one, and like inside the oven had plastic, and Morgan was chipping that off when it was cooled down enough, and I was helping a little. And then so this rack didn't have any more plastic on it, but this one had a lot left. And I said we should melt it off on the fire pit outside, but then my brother said we should put it back in the oven. And so we put the racks back in the oven. Well, my brother and Morgan did, I think. And then so we have three cookie sheets that look the same, but he put two of them in on the bottom rack with some tinfoil over to catch the plastic, you know, even though it was on self-clean. Anyways, so then we turned on self-clean, and that locks the door because it's going to get really hot, so it locks the door so that, you know, for safety reasons. And then him and Morgan went to go get In-N-Out. They went to go get dinner, and I feel like they were taking, anyways, I felt like they took a long time, but I don't know how long it actually was, because I don't know. But during that time that they left, we got fans going upstairs, because then with the self-clean and like the plastic was back in there, it was smoking a lot, and it was so strong, like the burnt plastic smell, like you felt like you couldn't breathe that much. And Brooklyn told me that she had asthma, so of course that's gonna be really bad, like a lot worse. Anyways, but we got the fans from downstairs. We had two window fans. We put one in the kitchen blowing outwards, and then one in the front room, the living room. And yeah, all the doors were open all the way, and like so many windows. I think we even opened the windows downstairs because some of the smoke got downstairs, and got like two other fans going. We had like this big black fan that's like this tall, and we had it blowing from it was one of the ones that move. I don't remember if I think I kept it on moving so it would blow it away so it wouldn't go back to these so smoke wouldn't get to these back rooms, because I do not want the house stinking forever. But the smoke was so strong, and like Max was in the backyard. Our little dog was in the backyard the whole entire time. We kept an eye on him. And our neighbors, they were in, I can't really show from here, I don't know. They were outside, but in a way that they couldn't see our house because they have a garage thing. They were on the opposite side of that, and with two other people in our ward. So it was the Amaros and the Tubbs. So two couples. And they were just talking, and they didn't know what was going on at all. And so Brooklyn, Sheridan, and I, we stayed outside as much as possible, but then we had to come in and check, make sure there wasn't a fire. in the oven, because if there was like an actual fire, we would have to call my brother to hurry or something. I don't know what we would have done if that happened while he was gone still, but we were outside as much as possible, and then the smoke detector went off, beeping really loud. Oh, and also during this time there was like 20, no, more than that. Probably like 50, I swear it was like a ton of people in the cemetery with balloons. Like, I think they were just doing a balloon launch thing, but it was a lot of people. But then by the time that the smoke detector went off, there was only like 20 or 30 people. I don't know. There was a lot less, but they saw. So Brooklyn took the smoke detector off the wall, and Sheridan ran outside with it to make sure it stopped beeping, because it was just super annoying, and we already knew there was smoke. So yeah, it's a good thing we know that the smoke detector works. And anyways, so there's people in the cemetery that were looking over there, like, what's going on? And then Brooklyn and Sheridan were yelling, we're fine, because I did not want anybody calling the fire department. And like you saw in my other video, well, if you watched it, obviously, that I was like freaking out about people calling the fire department. I said, I'm gonna beat their butts. Anyways, I was just like really stressed. Like, I did not want the fire department to have to come, because that just scared me. And anyways, so that happened, and then we went out back, I think. And then Brooklyn went back in the house downstairs to get the other smoke detector so it wouldn't go off. And we put them outside. And sorry, I keep on adjusting everything, and I also keep on saying a whole lot because I'm just trying to think of what was next. Then I think Daniel and Morgan got home right after we got the smoke detectors out, or a couple minutes later or something. And then we went to the back basketball court, and I noticed that there was a bunch of ants, whatever, and so I got out the ant killer stuff, like powder, and I started doing that, or maybe I didn't even do it yet, I don't know. And then Morgan got back out there with the food that they got, and Daniel was in the house, and then he was yelling that there was a fire, like, he said that it went up, he heard a big poof, and then there was an actual fire in the oven. That was what I was filming. There was huge flames in the whole entire oven. And what they were trying to do in that video, I was wondering, y'all ran inside, but I tried to keep Brooklyn out and Sheridan, because I did not want them getting hurt, especially because Brooklyn had asthma, not asthma had Brooklyn. Sorry, I'm really confusing. And anyways, so I tried to keep them out as much as possible. And then, of course, I was filming, so that's why I said, Sheridan, move, I'm filming. Anyways, I felt bad after, but she thought it was funny when we rewatched the video. But my brother told me to film, because he was, like, surprised that I didn't film the first time that there was a little fire, but I was just freaking out. And also the Zoom was going on, the Kahoot and Zoom. And, yeah. So, oh, I forgot to mention, when I was opening the windows, we had a bunch of rugs in the kitchen. I took them out so if there was a fire, it wouldn't just be more flammable stuff to burn. So, yeah, I did that. And I also got a bucket of water I had Sheridan fill it up. A bucket of water in the sink. We just did a few things that'll be more safe. Anyways, even though it was really dumb to put the thing back in the oven. And put on self-clean, obviously. But when there was flames, it started beeping F10 on the oven, which means fire, of course. But yeah, when I was filming, Daniel and Morgan were trying to, like, one of them would open the oven, and then the other one was gonna fire extinguish it, but of course the oven wouldn't open because it was on self-clean and it was really, really hot. There's no way that the oven would allow it to open. And then Daniel told Sheridan in the video to go get the bishop, and the bishop when the bishop came over, then he was like, what's going on or something, and then Daniel, or he said, what's burning, and then Daniel said, Sue's cooking, just to be funny. Anyways, Daniel did say a few jokes during the thing, but anyways, but when I was filming, like before the bishop came over, the smoke got so black and it was burning our eyes so bad, and so we had to go outside, and that's when, and then the bishop came, and then Elise, Bishop's wife, anyways, because the bishop is our neighbor, and then they all came to our backyard, like the other couple that was at their house, and then they were asking what was going on, and I told them what was happening, and then since the oven wouldn't open, then Morgan said she had to call the fire department, and then she was asking me for the address because she didn't have our, like she doesn't know our address from memory, so I had to tell her our address, and then she asked me a second time, and by that time I was like freaking out about the fire department, so I was crying, and then I was crying, and then I went to the very back of our yard. I was crying, and I don't like crying in front of people that much, but I was just freaking out, and I can't even tell how much time is on this because my stripy shirt, 11 minutes on this one, but I was crying, and then after, we heard the sirens, and then Elise told us that we had to go out front. Well, that's when I came back into this yard, and then we had to go to the gravel area in our driveway. Because, anyways, we had to do that, and then I went over to the grass, and that was when I was filming the fire trucks. There was a small fire truck, and then one of those massive ones. Like, I don't even know what the little ones are even for. I don't even know what they have on them. There's like the little one, and then the giant one, and then we had a police across the street. And anyways, when I heard the sirens, I was like, oh my gosh. It was really terrifying. And then there was a lady across the street that was on her phone, like, taking pictures, and she looks like one of those drama people, which on the Roy Facebook page, people are always posting drama, like, oh, what's going on at this person's house? She looked like one of those people that was going to post, so I was freaking out, and I was about to go over and yell at her, but obviously I was super emotional, and I did not feel like it. And then our other neighbor this way was asking what happened, and I just told him a little bit. But, and then when the fire people left, Daniel told me that, I don't know if you can hear the dog barking, but he's really annoying. Daniel told me that, he said, like, when there was all the fire people, like, only a few of them came in here, and all they did was, they pulled out the oven, then turned off all the gas to the house, and then just waited for the fire to go away, because they couldn't open the oven, but it just had to cool down. And then they left a note on the board that said, Roy Fire loves you, or something like that. Anyways, it was really nice of them. But my brother told me that when they were all out in the driveway, then he said, hey, at least the oven will be clean. And then one of the dudes, like, just looked at him like, I don't know. He just, like, gave him a dirty look, kind of. Which, like, come on. Like, you're trying to just make the best of a bad situation. Like, I don't know. People are weird, but. Anyways, and then we came inside, and it was starting to get dark. And we had to clean. Also, when Daniel was out, he got a Redbox movie, so him and Morgan were going to watch a Redbox movie. But they had to go get, they thought scented candles would be nice. Even though my mom gets these ones that aren't actual candles. They're like scented wax, but they're in a melty thing, so it doesn't leave ashes on the wall. Because apparently, actual candles can leave gross stuff on your walls. But we didn't know that. But anyways, Dan got those. Anyways, he went to go to the store to get those right when the gas guy was coming, because the gas guy was going to come and turn back he was going to relight the gas or something like that. I don't remember. But there was supposed to be an 18-year-old at our house, and so he told me that. And this dude was like really shy. He was nice. And then I was like, oh, okay, I'll call him, and then he'll come back here. And then I told him it would be like 5 minutes. And then Dana came back, and he lit the stuff. But then, Brooklyn, Sheridan, and I, we cleaned the oven. Let's see. We cleaned the stovetop and all the stuff, and the inside of the oven, we just had to wipe it out because it was on self-clean, so everything was clean. And we noticed the cookie sheets were not the same, and that was when Dana was still at her house. We were just freaking out. We're like, my mom's gonna notice, because at that point, we actually wanted to keep it a secret as long as possible, but that didn't end up working. Because I told her mom the next day when she got back from Idaho. But the cookie sheets did not look the same. So we have 2 of them that were in a fire, and then the other one that wasn't. But they still work. But we wiped down the cupboards and stuff. Anyways, we cleaned stuff as much as possible, and then we had our neighbors come over. They actually went out to dinner after the fire department came, and they said that to call them if we needed anything, that they say they would come right back and help us. But they came over to see how things were after they got back, and then they were really impressed on how well we cleaned, and also they were really glad that it didn't leave like this. The fire didn't have any damage or anything, because they actually had a house fire like, I don't know how long ago, probably 8 years ago or something. I don't know. It was before we even moved in. I don't know. But anyway, so they were really impressed. There wasn't any damage at all, really. It still smelled like smoke, but we were airing things out. We closed up some of the stuff, but we still had that kitchen window with the fan in it all night long. And when they came over to check if things smelled like smoke, then they said that Elise said that the curtains that we should wash. Well, we were asking if we should wash the curtains and stuff, and also we had blankets. I'm so bad at talking right now. We had blankets in the living room that smell like smoke, so we had to wash those. We had to wash like so much stuff, and the curtains, and so we didn't have curtains all night outside. I actually slept in this room, which my bedroom's downstairs, but I slept up here. Well, whenever my mom's gone, I always just sleep up here, just because. But yeah, our neighbors helped us a lot, like, just because, I don't know, they were just like impressed, and they were just helping us. I guess if we needed any more help, then they would help us more. But they were glad that we cleaned it up so good. I also had to clean out one of our fans because it had smoke in the fan, because it had dog hair in there, and then you could also tell it was like smoke. Anyways, so I had to clean that out. I had to unscrew it and do that. Anyways. Yeah, we cleaned up as much as we could. I feel like I'm missing some details, but we cleaned up as much as we could. And then that next morning, the dog keeps barking. It's so annoying. My friends were supposed to go home at 9 o'clock that night, but then they called their parents and was like, hey, can I come at 10? And their parents were like, yeah, but there will be consequences, because usually when they're late, like, they get in trouble or whatever. But their parents just said there would be consequences. But they stayed until 10 and helped me clean. And then that night, like as soon as I got home, then they told their parents the whole story, and then their parents didn't get them in trouble or anything. And then their parents texted me and said if I needed any help, that to let them know. And so all I said it would be great if if Brooklyn and Sheridan could come over in the morning at like 7:30, because I knew my mom's coming home in the morning. She ended up coming home at 11, but I asked if they could come over in the morning, and so he said yeah. So they came over a little after 7 and helped clean. Well, like, we had to make sure that it didn't smell like smoke, because if I'm like sleeping in this smell, I'm not gonna know if my house still smells like smoke, so I needed a fresh pair of noses or whatever. And I also texted my neighbor that night and I said, hey, in the morning, can you come over and see if it smells okay? And then when the kids came over, we had to keep the laundry going all night, and they helped me put up the curtains. And we actually shrunk the curtains. Like, they were that much longer before, and then they're like this much now. We shrunk them that much, which my mom was fine with that, because I told her, and then she just laughed when she got home. But yeah, I told her the whole entire story when she got home, because all I said the night before, like when it happened, all I said is we need a new dish drainer. She's like, oh, did you melt it in the oven? And I said, yeah. And she didn't answer because she was busy planting trees at our new house. But when the neighbors came over, they were really impressed with us on how well we cleaned. Like, even the next morning, like, they were just super, like, glad that we got it all cleaned up and everything. And same with my mom. My mom, like, when she got home, she was like, dang, it's really clean. Like when I told her the whole story, she was like, she was checking for damage and stuff, but, like, the oven was literally so clean, and I was glad we didn't have to get a new oven or anything like that. Like, it's fine. Like, it doesn't even, I don't think it smells like smoke at all anymore. I mean, that was like last week, but the first giveaway that there was, that she was like, why does it say fire department loves you or something like that? Roy Fire loves you. She read that on the board as soon as she got home, and she was like, what? And then I told her that the fire department came. Yeah. I told her the whole story. And she was just basically, she wasn't mad. She was just, at first she was like, well, the biggest problem I see is you having friends over when I'm gone. And I was like, that's not even it. They helped more than anything. Like, make you brownies. I would have made brownies if they were gone. They helped with everything. And so then she was like, oh, okay. So that's totally fine. I mean, we do have the rule that no friends over when she's gone, but anyways. But my brother, when I told my sister the story, my sister was like, oh, so what we know from this experience is that Susie Smart and Susie Smart were bolder than Daniel or whatever, because Daniel got the candles that have smoke, and he also had the idea to put it back in the oven. And then I was doing all the right things with opening up windows. But we're trying not to blame anybody, because it could happen to anyone. Like, just dumb mistakes. And also the fact that my mom put it in the oven in the first place. The plastic, when usually my dad says don't even put plastic even near the stove or oven. So, but we're not, like, blaming anyone, because it's over and we learned from the experience and everything's fine, everybody's fine. But it was a freaky experience. Like, I cried so much. I cried about the fire department coming. That's mostly why I was freaked out. But it all ended up fine. And yeah. I don't know what else I needed to add. I think I told all the details. Anyways, that's fun. Anyways, thanks for watching. I know this video is going to be, like, super long, but if you watched this much, then good job, I guess. Thank you. Yeah, bye.